I was probably still in college. Adelaide was working at AIC back in those days. She was teaching, and she taught a young man by the name of Chuck Minyard, who was a son of Miss Therese Ray, and also her daughter Kathy, who is Kathy Sensbuck, lives in Baton Rouge now, and of course all the family funeral and everything is going to take place in Franklin, where she's been living for a number of years. She had remarried. She was age 83. Very, very nice lady. Chuck and Kathy spent several weekends with Adelaide and I. We didn't have a child at that time, early on, and they just loved to come over, and of course they were king and queen, you know. We spoiled them. So anyhow, our deepest sympathies to the Ray family. And one other one is Mr. Charles Gilbo. You said you didn't...
I think I've seen him around church as an usher at St. Landry Catholic Church.
That's correct. He was 89 years old. I think I'm correct when I say he was never married, because he's survived by nieces, several nieces, and great nieces and nephews, preceded in death by his parents, and also his sister, Miss Marie Louise Gilbo Walker, Mr. L.A. Walker's wife, was, and of course Mr. L.A. has been deceased for a long time. Part of the property that I had over at 3 Mile Lake when I built a nice place there. Well, I bought that lot from Mr. L.A. Walker. Anyhow, that's another story in my book. You'll have to read that in the book. So another one, and we'll go to one more.
Go ahead.
And right there in Lafayette, a very prominent person died on Tuesday afternoon. I think they say 6:40 p.m. So I'm going to repeat what I heard on the news, and I think it's written in here somewhere. And I'm speaking of Mr. Ernie Alexander, a very popular man. He was smooth. He worked his way in political scenes. He was a teacher at first, and then he got into local politics. Then he became a state representative and served 2 terms. And in recent months and years, he's been an activist, I guess you'd say, in the Tea Party movement in Lafayette.
Correct.
My sympathies to his family, a person who, like I said, could move in and out of the political scenes. He was never, he could meet with any group.
Sure.
And come out with all his hair on his head. Another person that died, I'm going to get one more here.
All.
Mr. Darnell Fontenot. He was, Mr. Fontenot was only 73 years old. He was living in Erath, but he was a native of Ville Platte. So we have a lot of listeners and viewers in the Ville Platte area. And I met Darnell way back yonder when I was a general agent for Foremost Insurance Company, and I would attend the mobile home meetings and conventions in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Jim Tatman, of course, was back in those days, was very, very active himself. Now it's his daughters that are heading up the business. But Darnell Fontenot, and that's where what he was doing at the time. He was the founder of Gulf Coast Homes, and that business is still going near New Iberia, Louisiana. So my deepest sympathies to the Fontenot family, and trying to pass this on to all of his friends in the mobile home business. And of course, he was also a board member of Tesh Bank and Trust of St. Martinville. So he very successful businessman.
One more.
One more? You want?
You hit them all.
You want to hit them all? Okay. Mr. Wilson Primo.
Yes.
Can't say that I know him, but reading carefully like I do, I'll try to find somebody in the family. In the family. He was 83. He moved here from, I'm not sure exactly where.
Lions Point.
Lions Point, oh, not too far. And I think I'm correct when I say he's survived by his wife, Ms. Rita, and also by a son, James Primo, of Opelousas. I can't say that I know the son, but probably when I'd see him, I would reckon. And then he had a daughter that lives, used to be, well, her husband, I think, is Tommy Buteau, Dr. Tommy Buteau, the orthopedic surgeon, the doctor who put this good hip replacement on my right hip here. And
that was Juanita, I think, that was right?
No, it's not. It's not Juanita. It's Juanita. Wanita. That Juanita. It's a little bit spelled a little different. And then they had two daughters, Haley and Dylan Buteau, and they both live in Lafayette. I remembered Haley. And anyhow, our deepest sympathies to the Primo families.
This weekend, this Saturday, is the Walk for Life over at Our Lady Queen of Angels Church here in Opelousas. So if you want to come by, it starts at 10 a.m. They have a little program inside the church. Maybe you don't feel like going on the whole walk. You can come. Be a nice presentation. My understanding is the person giving the presentation will be Father James Brady, my pastor over at St. Landry Catholic Church, will be giving a talk.
Oh, you're not gonna? Did they invite you to give the?
No. I take the pictures. They like me to bring my camera.
Oh, okay. So you.
Well, Holy Ghost Choir will be there.
I know you. Oh, now wait a while. George Richard, I need to call
That's
George
right.
and tell George, because he comes at least twice a year to listen to the choir.
10 a.m.
From Baton Rouge, I might add.
It's the Walk for Life. The Walk for Life here in Opelousas, I think it's 25 years they've been doing it. I think it's the oldest one in the state. I've met people halfway across the country, Missouri, Arkansas, to tell me that they used to come just to Louisiana because one of the few ones they knew was going on here in Opelousas, believe it or not. So if you want more information about the walk, it goes from Queen about 10:30, I guess, after the talk, all the way to the New Life Center where we'll have refreshments served by the Catholic Daughters. You can call John or Jerry Miller, 948-9559.
Reading the paper like I do every day, I get 3 of them in the morning. I get the Morning Advocate, the Daily Advertiser, and the Daily World.
But you don't read them before about 3 or 4 in the morning, so that's fine, right?
Yeah, they get there. They get there about 3:30 in the morning. You're right, and it wakes me up. Boy, that's a shame. Students from University High School in Indianapolis, Indiana, came into Louisiana because they're studying French in school. Now that kind of was a surprise to me that they were offering French way up there in Indiana. Well, they decided to come all the way down to the real Cajuns in Acadiana here. And the picture shown here are the students, and they're getting a little up-to-date about different, looks like artifacts of the tools and all that were used by the early Acadians to build their buildings, homes, barns, and everything like that. And they are shown here taking a tour of the Acadian Museum in Erath, Louisiana. So I just thought that was worthy of coming forth. And of course, it's a very well-written article. And you know who wrote it?
Who wrote that?
Beautiful Miss Chris Wartell.
Oh, no kidding.
That's correct. So anyhow, of Opelousas heritage.
I think that's Chris Faza.
That's Chris Faza, yeah.
I haven't seen him in many years. Good morning, Chris Faza. How are you, sir?
You want to come show your face? I told him already that I didn't think you would, but you're welcome.
How about this? We've got, not this Saturday, but next, the 28th, Saturday, January 28th, from 8 a.m. until at Frank's Downtown in Opelousas, they're going to have their annual gumbo cook-off. It's all to help little Ella Claire, who needs a bunch of bone marrow transplant work done. She's got, I don't know if you want to call it a cancer, but it's a bad viral type issue with the blood and all. She needs a lot of these different transfusions. I know that Tim is very, very involved, Tim Marks, with this. Chip's very involved as well. And of course, Steamboat Warehouse, it's at Frank's, but Steamboat Warehouse with Jason Hugay is very, very involved.
Last night, I had dinner there, Tuesday night, with Carl and Angie DeVille, my horse trainer, and my friends. And I also had an opportunity to visit for a few minutes with Jason. And he asked us to please. I said, well, we are really getting with it. So I think it's the only one that weekend that I know of, only fundraiser locally.
I think so.
I think so, and that's good, because sometimes there's some conflicts.
It's hard to make them all.
Hard to make them all. But Jason and of course Chip will be working hard to make everyone happy. And who knows, you may be the champion gumbo.
Might be the champion gumbo cooker. That's right.
That's
and
correct.
When you go over there, you get plenty of good gumbo. You can sample from all the different restaurants. If you want to sample from a good restaurant, go to the Steamboat Warehouse in Washington, Louisiana. Great food, great ambiance. The old building was built in 1825, right there on beautiful historic Bayou Catawba. You can have a good time. The fresh seafood, great steaks, one of the biggest wine selections around. Enjoy the ambiance as you sit out on the wharf and enjoy the waters there at Steamboat. What we got next?
I spoke the other day, we were discussing that it looks like there's been more activity, or maybe it's because I got involved in the donation of the land with the veterans. It looks like there's more this year. There's a very interesting story of a survival story, a Central resident, and Central is in East Baton Rouge Parish, right near Baker, if my memory serves me correctly. And the story is about Mr. Carlton Hudson, and he holds a model of a B-24 Liberator bomber, and he served as the pilot navigator on 28 missions over Europe during World War II. Very, very interesting.
And made it back. That's a lot of missions.
And made it back.
Because every time you went, you didn't know if you were coming back.
And he was
What's the word?
They caught him.
a POW.
POW.
I got it.
I knew it was initials, and I couldn't think of the initials.
We got it.
Not a MIA. I was thinking of that's a missing in action.
You can be POW and MIA.
That's correct. So anyhow, very interesting story, and I'll have another little story to talk about later on reference to that same type story.
How about this? You might get in your mail the Friends of the Library renewal. It's all going out right now. I got a nice call from Miss Mary Sasher, I think, who's the current president of the Friends of the Library. They're going to have a little luncheon at the Evangeline Downs Event Center on Valentine's Day, which is February 14th. $15 a ticket to come by. It's going to include gumbo and your meal. And Lieutenant Governor Jay Darden will be speaking. Of course, it's the 200th anniversary of Louisiana. You remember, Sonny, we learned about 1812 being the birth date of Louisiana into the Union. So he's going to talk about Lieutenant Governor Jay Darden, all about all the festivities involved with.
You know, for $30, if you can get by with taking your girlfriend or your wife there, that's a pretty good deal. So we were talking about maybe it wasn't a good deal to handle on that day, but for $30, that's a good investment.
Let her go out and get a little bit of culture.
I sent my money in already. I'll give him a little extra contribution.
Well, folks, it's time for our commercial break. We're going to see you on radio and television on the other side of 3
3 minutes.